Peasant Productions presents the Math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. I'm going to pick on the Pope a little bit here because this whole thing I've been putting forward, I just did the light to no light type of a thing. Obviously you can kind of understand now why there's a term enlightenment, and you can understand why I say there's no end to learning, because there's no end to existence, which means there's always room for something new, something different, something to change, something to validate, something to investigate, something to just walk through a life and live. You know, my life is pretty freaking incredible. It's obvious, by the way, the finger, see if I can hold this amount. You can see the top chunk here has come off. We have, we have flesh again rebuilding with this day 26, day 26 here, doing quite well. You know, normal medical help by myself, of myself. There is in this area here where the major damage and cut came through. There's a tingly sensation. There has been nerve damage. I am getting a little bit, but I still just don't have any flex here. So it's pretty obvious tendon, muscle, nerve to this area was severed. You know, I mean, it's a severe cut, folks. Okay, I'm not happy about having two pinkies. And having learned to touch type in 1970, 73, 72, 8th grade, I took touch typing. So yeah, we're dealing like, almost 50 years of doing something, and all of a sudden, at the same time, both, not one, both pinkies are taken out. So life's amusing, even in the bad stuff. Okay, now. In all this stuff that I've been doing and saying, I've been exposing why religions are wrong to say they have the one and only God. How could you possibly say that? Because you have just put a limit on something that is unlimited. And to show you where it is strictly arrogance and nothing more, I'm going to pick on, the Pope, and I'm going to pick on the Christian Catholic religions in particular. But what this passage says, that's out of the Bible here, is that it can apply to every religion because it's the same situation. Okay, and what it is this 1 Corinthians 12, spiritual gifts. Who gives the spiritual gifts? The spiritual realm. Who decides what is validated and who is to receive those spiritual gifts? The spiritual realm. It does not in any of this passage say anything about a pope or an imam or a rabbi or a voodoo doctor or a psychologist or a politician. Dictator, Democrat, it doesn't make any difference. A politician has any right to legalize or deny somebody spiritual gifts by claiming they're insane, they're a demon, they have no possibility of knowing it or showing it or anything like that. No, that is the other way around. I am innocent of any wrongdoing. I have Revelations 2:12, and I openly state you must, according to the rules in this book, you must challenge the Christ entity. You can get in my face and insult me, and sooner or later I'll slap you off pretty hard. Obviously, I'll go to great lengths to protect the fact that I have a mark that says I've connected everything in the spiritual realm, and I don't need to listen to a bunch of arrogant people threaten to kill me. Just because they, with their religion of this book, don't have to believe in God. Yeah, they do not believe in God. They believe in worship of money, dinero, and stuff like that. And this is prevalent in the Mexican government. The local police here have now received the notice that, there is no limitation, there is no statute of limitations on murder. They took this country from people that were already indigenously living here some 500 years or so ago. 400 years ago, this was a town, and the Vatican had granted the land to the people that were here, that were from Europe, so they were invaders, they were granted it, and they murdered people here. And they are in the process here, 400 years later, using that same miracle as an excuse to murder me and take all of my possessions. Whether or not they know how to use any of this stuff doesn't matter. To them, it is arrogance. It is the idea of owning something simply to show it off. Therefore, they are directly in line with the teachings of the Vatican cartel, which means, yes, the Vatican has 500 years of murder against this one piece of land. North America and Mexico and Canada, one continent, they have at least 500 years of murder charges to face. Any country that was granted the land by the Vatican and has not in any way, shape, or form regressed back to the native people that land, and instead are sitting there arguing that their oil companies and their ranchers and their farmers and stuff like that have the right to continuously move indigenous people out of the way while they murdered the land and poison the waters and poison the airs and all that. Obviously, they are still guilty of murder, aren't they? So yeah. That's why I say the indigenous people need to wake up and realize that I am showing them a 100% legal case that makes all of these countries have to shut up, sit down, and stop arguing they're in control. You do not let a Nazi run a Nazi war crimes trial, therefore, no. I do not let the United States run a war crimes trial of the United States against the indigenous people. Mexico may not organize and run a trial against itself for war crimes against the indigenous people. The Vatican cannot run that. The Jews cannot run that because they are the same book and the same religion and the same originating Roman Empire. Muslims cannot run it. Okay? Any place Christianity has been foremost in setting up rules cannot run it. Yeah. Simple logic. And the really bad part is that if you take this Revelation, this 1911, the only place that you can find anything stating that this white horseman of the apocalypse is a supernatural being is down here where it says the armies of heaven follow him. It does not at any point in time say anything other than that, because it says out of his mouth comes a sharp sword to strike down the nations. Basically, if you're a very, very good lawyer and you're honest and just, which I am, and I've done about 11 years actually involved in the United States courts. I got a broken arm here, folks, for being literally too good. I was told, you are too good. You ever walk in a court again, we're going to kill you. For any reason. I can't even walk in to go collect a parking ticket, pay a parking ticket. I can't go in there and go get my son, a marriage license for him and his girlfriend or something like that. Understand? If I walk into a United States courtroom, I will be arrested and disappeared, is what I was told. So, okay, I'm a lawyer. I'm damn good. Okay? So, this whole passage can be a normal human being. Not an insane one. Not an egotistical one. But somebody that is constantly working with a very just system of laws and with very truthful data, and is not afraid to adjust what they're doing along the way because something changes or something has to be changed or something is rearranged. And I just happen to have this mark here that says I talk to all the spirits. So technically, since the armies of heaven would be something from the spiritual realm, like the spirits themselves of the lands, the seas, the airs, the waters, the plants, the animals, the whales. It could be, but a little supernatural there. But, you know, on the other hand, you know, it could be a very normal person too. So, something to think about the next time you hear the Pope try and tell you how only his God can exist, or you listen to anybody of any religion say only their God can exist. Where do you get your idea? How can you possibly put a limit as a human being on existence and have any connection to a God? Any of them.